You talked a lot about entrepreneurs, but you said also other stakeholders. So what other stakeholders are at play?
So you've got a variety of stakeholders that are playing any deal. So the entrepreneur is obviously one that we mentioned, and we try to work alongside entrepreneurs in the way that we approach things. We come at things as an investor, so we have an investment mindset in the way that we're looking to work alongside an entrepreneur. But I think what's often missing in investment deals is actually thinking this through the lens of the beneficiary or the person on the ground who is actually being given the opportunities and provided the opportunities to lift themselves out of extreme poverty.
So these are the employees employed by the entrepreneurs?
Yes, so a great example would be the investment that we made in Liberia, which was in a group called Liberty and Justice. That's Africa's first fair trade clothing apparel manufacturing company. The entrepreneur who we've invested in, he owns 51% of the factory, and the women who work in the factory own 49% of the factory, and then are able to have a control over the profits that the factory generates. So one of the exciting things that's come out of this investment not only is that job creation, which is obviously huge in a country like Liberia where there's 85% unemployment, but the women are actually being empowered to be who they can be. So for many of these women that are working in the factory, it's the first time that they've been able to have a reliable paycheck, and with that comes dignity, with that comes a restoration of a belief in who they can be. And so when I talk about the stakeholders, we're looking at it through the lens of us, an investor, the entrepreneur, but also through the beneficiary on the ground.
And the women in Liberia, they benefit from more than just receiving a paycheck?
Yeah, so the DNA of liberty and justice is one of empowerment, and that's something that we're looking for. We work with different entrepreneurs. What is the DNA of the entrepreneur and of the organisations that we're working with? Liberty and justice seeks to provide opportunities for the women to have the ownership. Like I mentioned, there's savings matches that are provided by the company, and then with that comes an opportunity for the people in the factory to collectively work together to decide what they want to do with their profits. So I was over in Liberia a year ago and able to see the school that the women had chosen to deploy their profits on to be able to use in the local community.
So how do you decide what types of entrepreneurs or social enterprises you'd like to invest in?
Yeah, so we see a huge gap in the market for social impact investing. So we think that there's a number of entrepreneurs that are coming out of business schools, that are coming out of incubators or accelerators that have good ideas that potentially could go to scale.
Are these people from the United States and the Western world?
It's a variety, so we're looking to be able to work alongside whoever is going to be most affected. Some of them will be from the US or from the West, others of them will be indigenous from their countries and from their communities. So we see this huge gap in these entrepreneurs that have these great ideas that need the capital to be able to get them to scale. And then we see on the other side of it is these $1 million minimum investors that are wanting to deploy capital but need to have a proven track record, need to know that the model works before they're prepared to take the risk with an amount like 1 million.
So what types of businesses do you tend to invest in?
So we mentioned the first fair trade clothing manufacturing company in Liberia, which obviously we're excited about. We made another investment in a group in India called HealthPoint, and HealthPoint provides safe drinking water and telemedicine in rural communities. So basically in a rural community, the opportunity to have safe drinking water is provided for the first time. The rural Indians pay for the water. They're paying for water anyway, one way or another, either by missing work and getting sick, or by having to buy the water in another form. So they're prepared to pay for the water, which then helps the company to be sustainable and then pay us back as an investor.
So it sounds like you invest in very innovative social enterprises. Is that part of the criteria?
Yeah, it has to be innovative in terms of addressing a specific need. Obviously, often the most innovative ideas are the most simple. And so when you have an organisation that's providing something as simple as safe drinking water that people are prepared to pay for, when you have an organisation that's actually just seeking to empower the people that work there, pretty simple concepts, but often concepts that are lacking in the developing world and in the investment mindset.
And do you feel like you've been able to have some significant impact through your work at Eleos Foundation?
I think we're trying to. I think we're coming up with innovative approaches in the way that we approach things. We came to Eleos and said we've got a relatively small amount of monetary capital that can be deployed, but we're in a unique position. We're a spend-down foundation, so we're looking to spend down the assets of the Eleos Foundation over the next 10 years, which I think is common sense in my mind. People are in need today, so why are we sitting on money? So we're trying to drive towards how can we effectively spend down that money. And the way that we're looking to do that is how can we be catalytic, how can we open up pipelines, how can we have a catalytic impact that can change the rules of the game. So it's not just about giving a man a fish, it's not teaching a man to fish, it's how do you change the rules of the fishing industry as a relatively small player, but trying to be catalytic to open up pipelines of capital to have a lasting difference.
And how do you go about opening pipelines of capital?
Well, I think there's this growing movement in the impact investing space where people are actually realizing that you can have financial returns and a social impact, and you can look at investments and traditional giving through the same lens. So the traditional investment head is obviously driven by a financial return, and the traditional philanthropic compassionate heart is driven by a social good. Is there a way that the two can come together? So 2 years ago, we at Eleos were looking at doing our first program-related investment at PRI, and there was a $50,000 investment that we were looking to deploy, a 2% convertible note payable over 3 years. And I spoke to my investment committee and they said this is a crazy investment, 2% early stage, that's just not a good investment. And I said, you've seen the level of due diligence I've done, you've seen the site visit, how about we just give them the money? And they said, I'd feel much better doing that. It would be a good grant, we'd be able to do it. And it hit me and it hit them. Yeah. I said to them, do you realise what you've just done? You're ready to approve 100% guaranteed loss, 0% chance of return, but you're not prepared to use the same amount of money, the same money to have this opportunity of a very high risk early stage investment. So we think that impact investing is a growing movement, and if it can be used smartly, it can really open up pipelines of capital to help change the rules of the game in the extreme poverty world.